Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.
Hello, everybody. This is Courtney Rice, WWT's media and PR princess and co-correspondent to AEW, and we just wrapped up WrestleDream. It was definitely an interesting event to share, and I wanted to give my thoughts on each match overall and just kind of go through every piece by piece. I actually did talk about 0 Hour earlier, but I'm going to go through a little bit of a run through. If you missed it during 0 Hour, there was actually some good solid matches in there. We actually have a new Ring of Honor World Television Champion. Congratulations to Brian Cage on winning that belt. We got to see Anna Jay defeat Harley Cameron. Always awesome to see Miss Anna Jay. Also, we got to see the return of Rico, who we have not seen in forever, accompany MXM Collection taking on the Acclaimed. Of course, the Acclaimed won this match, but their rivalry is starting to cook up a little bit, but MXM is trying to block their way into the tag team championship race, but they'll be back in there. Also, we got to see the Conglomerate Runners, which is a combination of the Outrunners, Orange Cassidy, and Kyle O'Reilly, taking on the Dark Order and the Premier Athletes, and the Outrunners and Conglomeration won that match. So also during 0 Hour, we got to see the CEO, Mercedes Moné, have an encounter with Queen Aminata, where breaking news, this upcoming Wednesday on Dynamite, non-title, it'll be Queen Aminata versus Mercedes Moné, and that is going to be a good match, and Mercedes should not underestimate Queen Aminata. And also, I know Chris Statlander will be looking closely because even though she wants Mercedes, she wants the Brickhouse Camille. And I am anticipating that match as well. Also, if you saw right before the start of WrestleDream, we got to see Kyle O'Reilly encounter Okada. And Kyle O'Reilly wants a shot at that Continental Championship. But of course, Okada said no, and it led to a brawl. And Christopher Daniels banned both of them from ringside. So that is definitely a match to keep on the radar and a possible rivalry storyline to watch. But that was 0 Hour. Now we get into the main show of WrestleDream. Let's see. Hi, Boza. Mercedes thinks she's all that as she's 8-0. But Queen Aminata ain't no joke. Chris will get Mercedes at some point, but she wants Camille first. Yeah, that is true. Queen Aminata is no joke. Like, if you've seen some of her matches, she's not a joke. But definitely Chris Statlander will be watching on Wednesday because she's definitely going to get Mercedes at some point, but she wants the Brickhouse first. And yes, I agree. Okada versus O'Reilly will definitely be a good match as we kick off the next one. But anyways, going back to WrestleDream, we kicked off with a really solid match between Hangman Adam Page and Switchblade Jay White. We knew these two have a really deep, blood-boiled rivalry where, unfortunately, not only Hangman, because if you recall the match that they had at the Owen Hart men's tournament, it was Hangman versus Jay White. They were both going at it. But unfortunately, Christian was the one that screwed him along with Hangman Adam Page. So it was nice to see a solid back and forth between the two of them. And it looked like Jay White did not skip a beat in his match. So he really put up a good, solid performance. But your winner at the end was Mr. Jay White. And he got to celebrate with Juice Robinson. And we'll see where Jay White goes from here. He took out Hangman Adam Page. And there's one more guy he needs revenge on. And that is Christian Cage. So Christian's going to, I know he's going to be looking for Christian in the next couple days between Dynamite, Rampage, and Collision. So be on the lookout for that. And that was a solid way to kick off WrestleDream. Also, I meant to say this earlier. This is actually the second year they're doing WrestleDream in the state of Washington and also honoring New Japan Wrestling founder Antonio Inoki, who passed away last year on October 1st, and this led to the creation of the inaugural WrestleDream. So just a quick FYI on that. Moving gears, we move on to our second match between the AEW Women's Championship between Willow Nightingale and Mariah May. I will say those ladies definitely delivered a match, and this was Mariah's toughest test because she was not going up against any slouches. And I was looking through this match. I had a feeling she underestimated Willow a bit because, yes, Willow has been around since 2021. She's been around the block, but she definitely knows how to bring the table. She's a former TBS champion. She's a former New Japan Strong Women's champion. So she knows how it feels to get gold. And this was something that I think Mariah kind of underestimated Willow a bit, but Willow really much came bouncing back and forth, and really delivered a really good effort. But your winner and still women's champion is Mariah May, and she's doing the belt. But I think this is going to lead a chip onto Willow's shoulder, because I don't think this loss is really going to hurt her. It's actually really going to captivate her, because I do see her as being a contender for that women's championship belt and definitely getting in the title picture. So it will not be the last time we see Willow be in any title picture, and the future looks bright for her. So after those two matches, we get into the TNT Championship match between Jack Perry and Koshiaki Shibata. I will say this was Jack Perry's toughest test, because Shibata was no joke. And anytime Jack Perry tried to make a chop or kick to Shibata, it just felt like, I'm just used to it. And I really thought Shibata was going to win the TNT Championship belt. But unfortunately, it ended in controversial fashion, because I did see Shibata try to put a submission hold on Jack Perry, and I really thought the match was over. But it looked like Jack Perry's shoulders were not down. And that kind of ended in controversial fashion. The fans were not happy. They kind of booed at it and thought Shibata got robbed. And then after the match, of course, Jack Perry tried to attack Shibata, but we get to see Daniel Garcia. And as Daniel Garcia mentioned, he wants a shot at that TNT Championship belt, but I would like to see Shibata get another rematch, because I felt like he did get a little screwed over. I think he did kind of get screwed over. But anyways, we get to see Daniel Garcia come out and confront Jack Perry, helping out Shibata. And surprise, surprise, guess who comes back? Maxwell Jacob Friedman. We have not seen him since All Out in Chicago after that gruesome match between him and Daniel Garcia. Of course, they stared at each other, but Jack Perry put a cheap shot in there, and MJF tried to attack the crap out of him. He got his diamond ring back, and then just when he was about to punch him, we also see the return of Adam Cole. And I'm really sad that kind of upstaged Daniel Garcia, because I really want to see him and Jack Perry kind of face off a little bit, but I don't know. I'm just kind of sad on how it played out, because I know everybody's talking about MJF and Adam Cole, but welcome back, MJF, Adam Cole, and I know Adam Cole has some unfinished business with MJF, so that's another thing to discuss. After that match, we actually got to see. I'm trying to think in my head. We actually got to see that, but also we got to see a few backstage action where Renee interviewed Orange Cassidy, and we got to see Jerry Lynn, and also, Jerry Lynn was talking to Orange Cassidy about being the man of AEW, which I kind of think he still is. And I think he can pull it off, because he's been around the block for so long. He is one of the AEW originals. He's one of the AEW originals to really bring it. And even Hook said it too. He says he's the man. And if you've never seen a match with Orange Cassidy, I highly recommend checking out his matches when he was international champion, because those matches were absolutely spectacular. And he proved himself. He's a workhorse for AEW. So I do see him as the man. And I do see him being in the AEW World Heavyweight title picture soon. But anyways, jumping into that, we get on to the next match, which a lot of people call that the match of the night. It was the International Championship match, triple threat between Will Ospreay, Ricochet, and Konosuke Takeshita. And also, I didn't realize that the triple threat was no disqualification because I saw some tables come out and using weapons a bit. And then also we got to see Mr. Don Callis on commentary, which is no surprising there. And I will say there was a lot of aerial offense between all three opponents. It was just crazy. Ricochet and Will Ospreay landed on their feet. The crowd was going crazy in that match. And I will say, seeing that match is incredible. And also there, a lot of the fans were getting behind Takeshita a bit. So, and of course, Don Callis wanted to stick his nose where it didn't belong and all that stuff. But after that match, we got to see a new international champion, Konosuke Takeshita. And I will say, it's nice to see him hold gold within AEW, because everybody's been asking, when is he going to put gold on? When is this going to happen? When is he going to put gold on and all that stuff? Well, he's got gold on. And then, of course, after the match, I really thought Don Callis or Takeshita would have hit Will Ospreay with a screwdriver, but it wasn't. It was Kyle Fletcher. And Will Ospreay was very shocked about that. And Kyle Fletcher gave Will Ospreay the Tiger Drive 91. So there's going to be a lot of questions and answers regarding this whole situation, because Will Ospreay is going to have a lot to say after not only that loss, but the aftermath of the match. So we'll find out on Dynamite this week. We'll find out on Dynamite this week. But your winner, congratulations to Konosuke Takeshita on being the new AEW International Champion. And I know a lot of people say that's the match of the night, but I'll get to that later on. So after the international one, we got to see a 2 out of 3 falls match between Hologram and the Beast Mortos. I actually did enjoy this match. I think the one thing that I wish that switched, I kind of wish it was on 0 hour, and it could have swapped one of the matches that was on the 0 hour card, because I feel like this match was kind of like 0 hour, which, don't get me wrong, it was great to see both of them compete with one another, but I just felt like it should have been on 0 hour. And also, Hologram is still undefeated. And also, it was really nice, and especially with the Beast Mortos. But I feel like for this is not over between the Beast Mortos and Hologram, because they work so well with each other and have that chemistry. And I really want to continue that series, because I know somewhere down the line, Hologram's going to have his first loss. But I don't know who it is yet, but it was definitely a very solid match between those two. And the winner, and still undefeated, is Hologram. So congratulations to him, and he's still undefeated in AEW. And the next match we had was one of the hometown boys, Darby Allin and Brody King. And I really thought, everybody kind of thought, oh, that match was going to be sloppy. But I did like the promo video they did on Darby Allin, because if you did not know, he also does skateboarding. So it's nice to see him incorporate skateboarding into wrestling. Skateboarding from Seattle all the way to Tacoma. I thought that was a really cool promo that they did. And everybody was getting behind Darby. And a lot of people were getting behind Brody King too, because people love the House of Black. So that was really nice to do as well. They both delivered a really good match. I was really shocked, because I guess this was no disqualification, because I saw steel steps come into play. I saw some weapons come into play, and they really both delivered. And also, they do have a really solid rivalry because they showed archive footage of the matches that they had with each other and also how they got into AEW, especially Darby recommending to Tony Khan that he should hire Brody Lee in AEW. So that was really awesome to think about too. And they both really delivered a solid match. But your winner and the hometown boy, Darby Allin. And then after the match, Brody and Darby Allin shook hands out of respect for each other, which is it's nice to see. It's nice to see that. And they both really do have respect for each other. I thought at least somebody from the House of Black was going to come in, but I think they stayed put in the back and they knew Brody can do it on his own. So congratulations to Darby Allin. You put on one heck of a show. Now, I know people say the international titles, the match of the night, but this is kind of a dark horse for the match of the night. And I'm talking about the AEW tag team titles between the Young Bucks and Private Party. And I got to see the promo that was done by Amazing Red. If you don't know who Amazing Red is, he is a wrestler that wrestled not just an independent scene, but he's one of the top wrestlers on TNA. And if you've never seen his match, you definitely should. And he's one of the trainers for House of Glory Wrestling School, because that's where both Private Party and Daniel Garcia trained at. So it was nice to see him on the card really motivating Private Party, saying like, you know, hey, this is an opportunity right here. You need to get serious. You need to do this. So those teams delivered. And that was one of the strongest factors of AEW is their tag team division. And I've been a truly advocate for tag team wrestling and just seeing them, especially Private Party, because I really thought it looked like they were going to win. And I was like, okay. Because if you saw my reaction, I was just like, wow. And they both delivered. It was just incredible to see. But your winners and still tag team champions are the Young Bucks. And I made my bold prediction. I did say they're going to drop it a full gear. Who that full gear? Well, there is a tag team they still have a beef with, but unfortunately they're held up with MXM Collection. But Private Party showed why they are one of the best tag teams in AEW. And if you also saw during the match, Top Flight was sitting there observing the match along with Stokely Hathaway. Now, I don't know what's going on with Stokely and everything else, but Private Party had a very incredible showing. And even after the match, I know Isaiah Cassidy was very frustrated after the match because I really, really thought like this is going to be it. This is going to be the time. But, well, the Young Bucks thinks they can hold the titles, but not for long. So we're just going to see what's going to happen next with the tag team division because it's looking bright and they're going to get dethroned sooner than later, the Young Bucks. But that's my dark horse pick for match of the night, the tag team titles, because they just are so fun to watch. And I really want to see them incorporated more into storylines. So we go from the tag team titles to actually a really solid match between the Ring of Honor championship match between Mark Briscoe and Chris Jericho. We knew this match was going to be a little bit personal because of Chris Jericho putting in Mark's brother Jay, who passed away from a car accident. And it really did hurt Mark. And this is where Mark is very serious because we used to see him as the fun, loving, supportive guy. But when you talk about stuff like that to him, this is when he is serious mode. And I was very happy to see Mark Briscoe really come into this danger on his own. Of course, we saw shenanigans between the Redwood Big Bill and Brian Keith. But thankfully, with help from the conglomeration, your winner and still champion, Mark Briscoe. So congratulations to him. I don't know where the conglomeration is going to go next, along with the learning tree, but Mark Briscoe is on top, and he's still your Ring of Honor World Champion. So I give kudos to him. And now, the main event I just watched. Jon Moxley versus Bryan Daniel. Look, I still call him Daniel Bryan, but Bryan Danielson. You know, they delivered a really good match. It was a really, really good, solid match. And just seeing the chemistry there, the fans were getting behind Bryan Danielson because he was a hometown boy. And it was kind of nice to see Marina Shafir get banned from ringside. But they just both delivered that match. I just didn't like the finish because I really thought Bryan Danielson was going to retain. But, you know, I know he was getting ready to hang up the boots, but I thought at least he could hang in there for at least another week or so. But it was just, they just had so much great chemistry with each other. But after Moxley hitting him with the neck and put him in the submission hold, and he couldn't feel nothing, he was losing consciousness, it was like, oh God. It was just really hard to watch because seeing him lose in his home state of Washington is so heartbreaking. But after the match, that's a whole nother story because Moxley, I mean, I get Moxley is a champion. He's a 4-time AEW World Heavyweight Champion. I get it. But of course, he had Marina back there, Claudio, and Pac. And then, of course, Darby tried to help and Wheeler Yuta. But unfortunately, Wheeler Yuta beat the crap out of Darby Allin. And Darby, he was trapped in duct tape, so he couldn't do anything about it. And they were trying to suffocate and end Bryan Danielson's career. And I know a lot of people in the back respect Bryan Danielson, and they respect the work that he's done. I know Jeff Jarrett tried to come out, Private Party tried to come out, and also after the heinous act, there were a lot of superstars. There was a lot of guys in the back that did come out. Orange Cassidy, Hook, Adam Cole, Mark Briscoe, members of the conglomeration were coming out because they do respect Bryan Danielson. And also, thank God Brie wasn't there because I feel like she would have ran over the barricade and just really kicked the crap out of somebody because of her husband. So I have a feeling I think it just would have been, like I said, the last 2 months felt like 2024 inside the Met documentary. Imagine Brie took both kids to see the pay-per-view. Yeah, pretty much. But I'm kind of happy Brie did not be there in person. But I feel like everybody in that locker room really wants a piece of Moxley and his crew. Because remember, Moxley is the World Heavyweight Champion. Claudio, Yuta, and Pac have the Trios Championship belt. So you know there's a few top trios that are gunning for those belts. Because you have the Bang Bang Gang. You have, I'm trying to think of some trios right now. You have the Bang Bang Gang, Top Flight. I know they want to be a tag team, but I know they're in friction right now, but it could be a trios. You also have House of Black, because I will say this, House of Black, that is definitely somebody that could step up to the plate for trios. Yeah, you have the limit. Well, with the exception of Mercedes, because I don't know how Mercedes would feel about Bryan Danielson. I don't know how Mercedes, I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure Mercedes probably has some respect, but knowing her, she only cares about money. But with the exception of that, I know every single female has respect for Bryan Danielson, even Mariah May, even our women's champion. But it's going to be very interesting Wednesday on Dynamite because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of guys in the locker room that respect Bryan. There's going to be a lot of women that respect Bryan Danielson, and they want to take a piece out of Marina. But also, I want to know how Renee's feeling about all this, because I know this is on screen and stuff, but I'm curious on what Renee's reaction is going to be, because I know she's conflicted in a way. with her husband. So she's going to feel conflicted and just getting her thoughts. Tonight made for interesting. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of discussion regarding the pay-per-view. But for me, I know people want to say, oh, this WrestleDream, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to give it a solid 8 out of 10. Only because there was some messiness and also the controversial regarding the TNT Championship match. I am going to give it a solid 8 out of 10. Because there was a few, but after that gruesome match, and plus, yeah, she has to do her job. Yet her husband, yeah, she has to. Renee has to do her job, but this is going to be interesting for her. But 8 out of 10, I would say. It was a very solid pay-per-view. Also, I wish somebody would give me commentary on Nigel's reaction, because I know Nigel's been the main vocal on wanting Bryan Danielson out of here. But hopefully he had some feelings and kind of felt a little bit bad. But it's going to be a very interesting Dynamite come Wednesday. Because remember, we do have a match confirmed for Dynamite. Mercedes Moné versus Queen Aminata. Non-title match, by the way. Also, we're going to continue with the fallout from AEW WrestleDream, because I'm going to tell you something. Every person in that locker room that respects Bryan Danielson and adore him, they're not going to take a lot of BS from Moxley and his crew. And I'm also curious on who's going to be the next people in line to challenge for those trios belts, because you got some good trios out there that definitely want a piece. But also, I would not be shocked if Moxley and his crew aligned with the Elite. Because as I said a couple months ago, Jon Moxley actually gave praise to Jack Perry for his reign as TNT Championship. So honestly, I would not be shocked if the Elite did align with Moxley and his crew, because I think they only care about themselves. Same thing with the Bucks, same thing with Okada and Jack Perry. I would not be shocked if they align themselves with Moxley and his crew. And it's going to be an all-out war. And I definitely want to give a shout out to Bryan Danielson. I know it's not the best way to end tonight like this, but he had one illustrious career. He did so much and paved the way for many superstars right now. So I have to give kudos to Bryan Danielson. He's had one heck of a career. I just wish his reign would have been a little bit longer, probably, because it would have been nice for him to win in Washington. But I know the fans were not happy that it ended that way. But I could see AEW using him once in a while, and they need to pop a number. AEW gave him a chance to end his. That is true. That is true, ending on his terms, but it's going to be very hard to do. And also, of course, we'll probably hear from Bree's reaction as well. But like I said, with the exception of Mercedes and the Elite, and possibly MJF, almost every person in that locker room is going to really be pissed at Moxley and his crew. And I'm going to tell you something. This is going to start a war. So that's the one thing I could say. You never hear a bad thing about Bryan Danielson. And you know what, Nigel? I never listened to his commentary, but I'm pretty sure I'll listen to it probably afterwards. Nigel, he could say whatever he wants about Bryan Danielson for all I care. But at the end of the day, he has to give credit where it's due. I mean, look, Nigel, I get it. You don't like Bryan Danielson. You've been having this feud with him since his Ring of Honor days, but have to show some feelings, because at the end of the day, he's human. He is human. So, I think hopefully Nigel has some feelings. But I know Tony was not happy. I know JR was not happy during commentary, and Excalibur was not happy. And I'm pretty sure if Taz was there, doing commentary, he would not be happy either, because I know he's doing speedy recovery. Yeah, Christopher Daniels may need to hold an emergency meeting. Yeah, that's going to be something, because Christopher Daniels, he's working under Tony Khan. And like I said, I would not be shocked if the Elite and Moxley's group is working together, because that would definitely change his course. And this is where I need Christopher Daniels to really ump up his on-screen role, because if you're working under Tony Khan, you need to really ump up that game. So lots of questions and answers. And as I said, I gave myself a solid 8 out of 10 on the pay-per-view. There was a few bright spots, one controversial finish, and also not the best way to end the career of Bryan Danielson, but I want to thank him again for having an illustrious career. It was a fun ride. Oh, and I didn't even talk about another thing. Swerve Strickland returned. I can't believe I forgot about it. So Swerve Strickland returned to his hometown of Tacoma, Washington. He did get doctors from that. He's cleared. So it was nice to see Swerve back in his hometown. And you know what? He still is the most dangerous man in AEW. Then, of course, we got to hear from MVP and Shelton Benjamin, and they tried to get him to recruit. But Swerve had a little thoughts with Nana. Yes, after he lost the title, his childhood home got burned. He lost to Hangman. He kind of went through a little downward spiral, but he did say at the end of the day, Nana is family, and he never turns his back on family. So this whole thing between Swerve, MVP, and Shelton Benjamin, this is far from over. So I'm happy to see Swerve back, and I'm also happy to see him get back in it, because we will see him in the World's Heavyweight title picture soon. Because I will say this, I know Swerve is the most dangerous man in AEW, and he's done a lot of crappy things, but he did say when he was champion, he does respect Bryan Danielson, and I'm pretty sure he was not really happy after that, considering he's also from Washington as well. So we're going to see what happens this Wednesday on Dynamite, because there's going to be a lot of interesting things happening in the next couple days. But thank you guys for joining this post show, and there was a lot to cover, but thank you guys both. If you would like to follow me or catch me, you can catch me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on WWT Live. Wednesdays is All Elite Wednesday, as I do my watch along for Dynamite. You don't want to miss out on this upcoming Wednesday, as I'm going to do a watch along. You don't want to miss that. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram on @CourtneyNJ11, where I will be sharing on my posts, not just wrestling related, but anything related to in the pageant world, PR world, any projects that I do. And I do have some projects that are happening in the next couple weeks that I will share at the end of October and beginning of November. But I want to thank everybody for joining me on not just this post show, but also the watch along for WrestleDream. My rating for tonight, I give it an 8 out of 10. It was a very solid pay-per-view. There was a few mishaps in between, but it was overall solid. I did enjoy some of the matches, but it's going to be an interesting Dynamite on this upcoming Wednesday. So thank you guys again for joining me here, and I will see you on Monday. Have a good evening.
Thanks for joining WWT. Don't forget to like us on all social media platforms at WWTalkpod. Like and subscribe on all video and audio platforms, like yesterday, my G. And check out our website at wwtalkpod.com. Thanks for watching Women's Wrestling.